everybody and welcome back. It's Karen. I've got another same supplies but two different cards video for you today. And this one I'm going to be using this paper rose stencil called the gum leaf stencil. It's new to me but I love it. It looks like two different stencils in one. And I've got some texture crackle paste from Ranger and some Nuvo Moonstone Glimmer. And this is a little bit different this time. I am using up stuff in my stash that I keep collecting and need to use. So I just went through it and pulled out things that I found in there that I thought maybe I could use with that stencil. So I found this PinkFresh. It's actually a daisy wreath. I had stenciled it and cut it with a die. It's not foiled. But I thought that would go, and I found sentiments in there. And this background is actually another PinkFresh Radiating background, and it was in my many other background supply boxes. I'm too embarrassed to show you those because I think I have about 3 of those big boxes around my craft room, and I just need to use up those backgrounds. So I'm stenciling onto it here, just with that one side of the stencil. I used peacock feathers, salvaged patina, and a bit of cracked pistachio. And then I'm going over it now with some Moonstone Glimmer paste. And I love this stuff. I never get tired of seeing it when you've applied that over your ink. It just has such a beautiful sparkle. It's really transparent, but has that gold glittery look to it. So now that it's dry, I was too afraid to cut this down because of all those little rays. So I actually cut a piece of paper also from my not very often used stash. And I'm totally gluing up this background because of all those little cuts that die makes. So this card ends up being a little bit bigger than an A2 size card, but I thought it was worth it to get that little blue border in the center in. So I'm just really sticking this down here, making sure it's stuck down as well as I could. And now I've put that little daisy wreath flower up on some foam, and I found these laurel leaves. They're from Creative Expressions, and I thought they kind of went well with that, the leaf down at the bottom there. And I wasn't too sure about which sentiment, so all of these came out of that stash. And in the end, I think I did go with the Thank You, which is actually from PinkFresh also, and it's from their Perfect Sentiment set. And it was foiled, but it was foiled badly, so hopefully whoever gets the card will, not hold that against me. So I decided to ink that up with a bit of the peacock feathers, and I'm just putting some of the Moonstone Glimmer paste on those leaves. And now to put this down, I just lightly stuck it in place because I knew I needed to put the leaves underneath that. So I'm just gently putting it there and putting a little bit of glue under these leaves or at the base of them and sliding it underneath that floral image. So this card really was not very hard. It was just a bit of stenciling. Well, I guess it was using up stuff in my stash, but a lot of that was die cutting. So not too bad. And then I tucked that one in at the back there. And it never goes where you want it first. And then just pressed everything down. And that was this card. I probably could have done a little more with it, put some pearls or something on, or darkened up the center maybe of that floral, but I just was using what I had. Okay, so card number 2. I am ink blending. Again, I use the same shades of ink. I'm just blending at the top of the page, so I've got peacock feathers and salvage patina up there. And now I'm using the other side of that stencil, and I have masked off the other one just so I don't make a mistake and go into it. But I've also masked off the flowers. They're just those teeny tiny flowers on this, but I didn't want to get them blue. I was going to try to do those a different color. So I did put a little bit of that 3M wall safe tape on it just to stop myself from going into them because I would go into the flowers. So same colors of ink here. And I'm just blending. I started with the peacock feathers at the top and blended down to salvage patina and a bit of the cracked pistachio. And then I took the masking off the flowers and I'm going in with a bit of Kitsch Flamingo, and I went back in with a bit of peacock raspberry, or picked raspberry rather, just to darken that up a little bit. And then I cleaned off my stencil, masked the flowers again, and now I'm going back in with this Distress texture paste in Crackle, which is a really, if you haven't tried it, it's really quite a fun look. And I don't know if you've seen gum leaves, they kind of have this look to them. That's it as it's dried, and I don't know if you can see that terribly well, that crackle. I think I'm waving it around a bit too much. But it was a bit light, and so I went back in with a bit of the salvage patina and the cracked pistachio just to darken it a little bit. But I do like that crackle effect that it gives the leaves. And so that was how it ended up being. It's kind of a soft background, I think. Now, because of all that crackling, I just thought it would be fun to add a bunch of white dots to the flowers. Don't ask me why. I don't know why, but I just thought maybe that would go with it. So I've done that. I think in real life, those flowers, when I looked them up, they had centers that had a lot of little white, I don't know what those, those tendrils that come up out of it. I don't know what it is. Anyway, here is the sentiment I found in my stash. This is a Creative Expressions one, and it's just, I think that's quite fun. I know a few people in my family that might appeal to. So I colored it up with the Kitsch Flamingo and just thought that wasn't dark enough. So I went back in with a bit of picked raspberry, and my brush had a little bit of peacock feathers on it. So I went over that, which kind of gives it a bit more of a purple tinge. And then the bottom, of course, is in the peacock feathers. And I like that a lot better. It sort of blended in. So I stamped that with my Versamark ink, and I'm just heat setting it with some clear embossing powder. And I think I did this twice to give it a really nice glossy look. Now, I felt like the top of that needed a little something more. So I've just torn off a piece of computer paper there. And I'm just going to spatter on a bit of the peacock feathers and the picked raspberry just to add a little bit more interest to the top. So that's what I'm doing here. Just a bit of spatter. And after I'd done this, I was thinking, oh, maybe I should have put some white on there, which I think also would be kind of fun, but I didn't. So that's all we get. So I've attached my sentiment now, and here I've got some white pearl beads in different sizes, but I wanted them to be blue. So I am using a Copic marker and just going over them, and it just gives them whatever color the Copic marker is. So it's kind of that nice soft blue that sort of matches. I think that was a BG 53 or something, maybe in that line anyway. So that's the second card done. And there they both are together. Kind of, I mean, it's the same stencil. You wouldn't know it, but it is the same stencil. And then just little bits and pieces out of my stash. So very different cards, I'd say, today. Thank you so much for joining me again, everybody. I hope it's given you a little bit of inspiration, and I hope that you'll come back again next time for the next video. Thanks so much, and I hope you're having a great day.